Good morning and welcome to our segment, Let's Talk on the Second Chance. My name is Philip Jones.
And I am Tafaro Cook, two-time kidney transplant recipient and founder of Kidney Care Coaches, where we coach stage 3 to stage 5 kidney disease patients. If you or you know someone who has challenges with kidney disease and needs to be coached, reach out to us at kidneycarecoaches.com.
And we got a
Okay.
very, very interesting conversation for you guys today. It's it's actually crazy. As soon as I read this, I was like, this is insane. But this article came out of people.com, People Magazine on their website, and it says British transplant surgeon who branded his initials into patients' organs loses medical license. So real quick, I'll read through this. A British transplant surgeon who had admitted to branding his initials on the livers of two patients during surgery has lost his medical license. Simon Bramhall, 57, has used an electric beam to burn SB into one patient in February 2013 and the second that August. Unbeknownst to either of them, the Guardian reported, but when one of the patients needed a follow up surgery because the organ failed a week later, another surgeon discovered Bramhall's initials. Bramhall, a liver, spleen, pancreas surgeon at Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham, was suspended after the other surgeon found his initials in 2013 and placed under investigation. He resigned in May 2014 and told the BBC network he had made a mistake. The surgeon, who had practiced since 1988, pleaded guilty of 2 counts of assault in 2017. Reports did not indicate how police determined that he had burned his initials into the second patient, but they opted against investigating if Bramhall had done this to other patients as it does not affect the function of the organ. During the trial, the prosecutor said that one of the patients had felt violated by his actions and was dealing with psychological harm. Bramhall had told police that he decided to brand the patients to relieve pressure during the long operations. What you did was an abuse of power and a betrayal of trust that these patients had invested in you, the judge said. In 2018, he was fined £10,000 and ordered to complete 12 months of community service. Bramhall was suspended from practicing medicine for at least 5 months in December 2020. And on Monday, the Medical Practitioners Tribunal Service decided to terminate his license. In their decision, the MPTS, which is the Medical Practitioners Tribunal Service, said that Bramhall's actions were born out of a degree of professional arrogance and undermine people's trust in the medical system. Wow, that's
Yeah, I think that's
that's
to me
insane.
that's if you talk to this gentleman probably before this is just my feelings on this. It sounds like a God complex, like I'm giving this person, the gift of life. I'm giving this person the gift of life. So therefore, I'm entitled to write my name on the organ that I'm putting in this body. First of all,
Right,
as a surgeon, yeah, first of all, as a surgeon, we really appreciate the surgeons that go through numerous years of schooling and learning how to, perfect their craft as far as transplants are concerned. And we validate them, but you're not God, and to do something with arrogance like this, to put your initials into somebody, that's your ego run amok. That's just how I feel about that. What's your thoughts on this, Phil?
I agree. We appreciate the surgeons and the number of hours they put in to send through these surgeries, for us to get put these organs in us. But I do want to touch on one statement where it said that uh, it doesn't harm the organ. I would think that it does, because you are technically scarring that organ when you brand it. Brand, it's not like there's a way that you can.
Inflammation, yeah,
Right,
I
you got to
agree.
brand it, so it's gonna take heat, it's gonna burn, it's gonna rip. That's taking function out of whichever organ you're placing. In this case was the liver. Um, that's not smart at all, man. That puts the patient in a bad position, and if they do a deep enough investigation on that situation, they might find out that he rejected because he did that. I'm not saying that that's the reason why he rejected. It could have been a completely different reason, but it's a possibility that that's the reason why I rejected, which means that you just put this person back in a bad situation. They were coming out of the issues they had to deal with liver disease and things of that nature. Had a transplant, was going to start living their life, and then this happened again. It could have rejected for a completely different reason, other than the branding of his initials. And what I wanted before I have to kind of go back because it did say it was a beam. Now, uh, I want to know what kind of beam were you using that
It's a
can
laser beam.
scar.
It's a laser. It's a laser. It's like a
Right.
laser
So it's just
type.
like it's heat. It's heat, just like a normal branding iron would be. Where you put it on fire and then use it to. So it's all the same thing. And the laser may be worse because with the laser, it's actually going through uh whatever is hidden, with that heat. So it's definitely scarring and injuring the liver when you put it in that way. I you know I'm just stuck on the fact that he even had this thought process. Like,
Let's think about this though. Um, why? Why? Just why? Why?
why? That's the only question. Why?
Why? I mean, we hold you in high regards as being a transplant surgeon for starters. To me, they said he said under oath that he was relieving stress. Now, I believe there's other ways you can relieve stress. I think this was your ego. You wanted this to me. This is an ego run amok thing. You just wanted to do this. I'm my thought process. Let's go a little bit deeper. You're not the only one in there doing the transplant at the time. Did the other surgeons know about this, but just chose not to say nothing? Because this might not be your first two times of doing it. If something was to go a little bit deeper and they open up these people for some other reasons, it could go a lot deeper than that. So who knows what else you could have done? And your trust is lost. This man, again, who we hold in high regards because of what he does as a profession, but again, you're not God. And to me, that's a true act of God complex, if you will. I'm just going to do this and nobody's going to know. But I disagree. I think somebody else in that room, a surgeon or something, even because when you're, I've seen these surgeries and people are around and you do this. I bet somebody else knew but didn't say nothing. And then you didn't expect this gentleman's transplanted liver to, be opened up the next following week when it rejected and somebody else sees this. So I can only imagine how many other transplants you did like
And my other thought is, why would branding an organ matter? Here's the thing. Number one, nobody's gonna see it. Nobody's gonna
this.
see it.
That
It ain't
that's your
like
own
they can
ego.
show it off like, hey,
Right.
look. And even and here's the thing, what I don't think he thought about was this. No matter what kind of transplant it is, whether it's tissue, or organ, whatever the case may be, the doctor's name always comes up, regardless. Like, your name, you're going to be mentioned with with this procedure for until it's time for this person to go home. Like, that name will always go. Who did you? Where did you have your surgery, and who did? Your name is going to come up, whether it's being asked, whether it's just telling a story, whatever the case may be. The name is going to come up at some point. So it's not like you're not going to be recognized for what you did. Like, and again, it goes back to my first point. Who's going to see this?
I don't
Nobody's
think it
going
was
to
a
see this.
Phil. I don't think it was a thing where he wanted his people to know who he did it or not. I think this is just a mostly ego thing that he held himself in such high regards that he felt like that he can just brand somebody's organ and no one will ever know, no one will ever question his authority on who he was. But this is a prime example of what you do in the dark will come out in the light. He never in a million years thought that anybody would ever see this organ. He never thought of it, man, because he wouldn't have done something so heinous. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't even about him knowing. It wasn't about somebody saying, he did this. But I, again, I go back to why. Why? There's no sense in it, but I still think it's ego run amok. Um, he held himself in high regards that he was, somewhere short of a god complex, if you will. If I can do this, nobody's gonna know. I'm entitled to do these type of things. That's where the only thing I come up
Yeah, I now I think it's a combination of both. I think he holds himself in a high regard, but he wanted to say like, look what I did. I mean, you think about why you at your initials or sign something. You want to be seen. You want people to see that, hey, I was here. He wanted people to see that he did this, but what he wasn't realizing was that nobody was ever going to see it. And I think that might have been the other part too, was that nobody's going to see it. So he's like, well, I can go ahead and do this. And then, again, he probably never thought nobody was going
with.
to
He
go
did.
back in there a week later.
Right.
And, I mean, and there's no telling, you know, um, with, if it was a lobe of the liver, of course, is going to, expand and grow. So who knows? Over time, it may not even be seeable, or whatever the case may be. But he never thought in a million years that somebody would, if nothing else, see it, you know, uh, that soon, if anything, a week later, like that, that was the main reason why he got caught. It was like they noticed these initials and knew that he did it a week ago,
And it
and
was
was like,
fresh.
oh yeah, it's this dude.
Let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this. So on the first one, he got caught already. So I believe there was another surgeon that told. Maybe this guy
Yeah,
made
but he
his
got
work.
caught twice.
He got caught twice doing it. So therefore, if you look at all the people who've had transplants, I'm pretty sure this is not the first two times he's done it. He's done this
Oh yeah,
multiple times. He
definitely
just
for
got
sure.
yeah, he just got caught on these two. And I guarantee with the one that wasn't, the transplant that failed, I guarantee there was another surgeon or somebody in that room, a nurse or something told because they said they didn't go into detail on how they found out. So there
Right.
was another doctor in there who was like, "Look, I don't want my name mentioned, but this is what happened," because he wasn't comfortable seeing this doctor do this, and so he told. Now the other doctor opened up this person and he's seen it. So that's two people with firsthand testimonials that saw this doctor acting like a damn egotistical maniac. And that's what I'm gonna call him because that's so disrespectful to act like that towards somebody. Yes, we appreciate you again as a liver transplant doctor to help people, but you took an oath to help people. You didn't take an oath to hurt people, and I have a problem with
Yeah, and what's crazy was thinking about, how many times he did it. He got caught with that procedure, that procedure happened in 2013, right? Um, but he's been practicing since 1988. So you think of that time, bruh. Think of that time. That's over 20 years.
That's
Of,
32
of
years.
man, like so. Imagine, now there's no telling how long he's been doing liver trans. I know they said that he had been practicing medicine since 1988. But sometimes people take on new ventures and things of that nature to add to what they do or whatever. So I don't know the exact time of exactly him being a liver transplant surgeon, but as a practicing physician, 32 years. Like, come on, man. Like it has to be. And the thing is, if it wasn't so, uh harmful to these patients to go in there and check, I would be like, man, oh, you need to check every one that he's done, but it's not that serious. You have to go in there and have them go through that procedure where they have to be opened up to just to check and see if they're niche down. I mean, it's important, but you don't want to put those patients at risk just to have to check, especially when you already have two. His license has already been taken. I mean, he's already been sentenced and all that stuff. I don't think 5 months or however long, get 12 months of community service and whatever he had to pay. As it was only like $10,000. I don't think that's enough, but
I don't think
you
so
know,
either.
I mean, I
But
guess it's
check,
better than nothing because they could have easily been like, yeah, go home and take his license, but
listen to
I
this
think
though.
it should have
Listen to
been
this
bigger.
though. Check this out. Now let's take this in perspective too. We haven't even thought about this. What about the trust in other patients? What about the trust in other patients going through, they're on the fence of getting a transplant. You're already nervous. You're already apprehensive because they're about to put a foreign organ into your body. I don't care who you are. At this time, when you're about to hear a transplant is about to be put in your body, your mind is going a million ways because you're happy in your acceptance, but you're still like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work. You still have some you know just some apprehensions. And now we hear about a doctor doing this kind of stuff. How much how much trust do we have in the medical system and throughout the world when we hear this stuff? You already got a lot of stress going on when you're about to get a transplant. And now we hear about doctors writing initials on organs. I'm thinking like this now. I can only imagine what else happened. I can only imagine what else was going on while we're under. What else could have been done? Who knows, man? The list goes on.
Yeah, and this goes back to a conversation we've been talking about a lot recently, which is just it's not even so much the trust in the medical field in the world, but the trust in the transplant world in general. We already talk about the myths and things that people believe that go on in the transplant world and why they don't want to
Right.
become donors and
Man.
things of that
Man.
nature. And then you hear a story like this, which is just going to add one more thing to the list of people believing certain things. And we would hope, no, whatever word you want to use, that these other surgeons aren't doing the same thing or harming these organs and stuff like that. I mean, there's a lot of people that have had successful transplants, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, so it's not something that you would just think that is just going on consistently, you know, uh, for transplant patients and surgeons. I mean, it puts us in a trust issue at that point of, are could some of these doctors be doing more harm than good? And I hate to think that way because again, we hold them in high regard and we put our trust and faith and love into their hands to be able to get us through that type of procedure and saying, okay, hey, whether you taking out a heart or anything like that and placing organ in, man, that kills me again. Like I said, because of the fact of us already trying to debunk these myths that are going around in the transplant world that people believe in, and reasons why they don't want to become organ donors. I mean, you can't be mad at somebody adding this to the list because
That's it.
you
That's it.
know
Just what you
it's,
just said. That's what I think the biggest thing you just said right there was, we already going through debunking myths on people being organ donors and things like that. And now all of a sudden we have this right here. And like you said, this is going to be one added to the list. Are doctors complicating the organs? Are doctors doing something to the organs before they put them in? And we could say no, but yet still we just got a brand new case of this guy just doing that. So you're right. What are people going to think? And we're asking them to become organ donors, and now we see stuff like that. It's crazy.
yeah, yeah, it's it's crazy that we even have to have this discussion. Um,
Right.
that something like this is happening in the transplant world because we want to make sure that and hope that there no harm coming to these people and these organs. I mean, it's a reason why the process of moving an organ from a person to a person happens the way it happens, right? I mean, if you've ever seen how if somebody that may have passed away or donated uh, a organ, being alive, and they're in a different state, a different hospital to do this procedure, and how it gets its own technically security detail to get to the hospital in a helicopter, right? So in a medical helicopter, it's the reason why they take for all these precautions and care to move these organs because these are this is the way that is going to save someone's life, and for you to take it upon your hands to uh, damage, uh, this organ that's going into someone. Here's the other thing about this, right? Is that you don't know what happens when uh, a beam, a laser, touches an organ, right? You don't know. I mean, because when you think about it like this, a laser technically burns through, right? Which means that 9 times out of 10, that outer ridge uh of that hole or whatever it makes becomes burnt, as opposed to it just being is regular selfish organ. So uh you don't know what that burn on the outside of that can do on the inside of an organ. When
Well,
you
this is what they're saying. They're saying, no harm, no foul, like it didn't hurt anything. And you know what? Maybe it did. But the point I'm making is this: it gives the transplant game a black eye. Okay, that if it didn't hurt, if it did, whatever, it's side the point. I go back to why, and I have nothing but cons against this. I have nothing but cons,
oh,
no pros
definitely.
whatsoever. Right,
I'm not okay with it at all.
right, right. And I agree with what you're saying, Bill. We don't know what this did. 9 times out of 10, it might not have done nothing. But it gives the game a black eye. We could have people out here who don't want to become organ donors. Like you just said, we take all this time to have a precious organ flown across the country. It's handled in this kind of care, and all of a sudden we have a doctor doing this kind of stuff. Yeah, man,
Right.
this is beyond acceptable. That's all I got to say. And
And
I feel he should be reprimanded a little, way more than what he got. I still think he might have done more damage than good, especially to the whole transplant community worldwide. But it is what it is. I don't have anything else to say about it.
I would say they should let the transplant community give him his sentence, but then he might not make it to, to the next day.
Right.
I just don't think it's gonna end well for him whatsoever if they do it. But I do think that it needs to be a worse judgment than what he got. I mean, 12 months of community service. I could do 12 months of community
Well, he
service.
lost his medical license, so I hope you know. Uh,
But that wasn't
that's just
till 7 years after.
right,
So you
right.
telling me
You're right.
he had, they I think they put him on what's the word I'm looking for?
Probation.
I think medical, yeah, well, yeah, probation or something like that, medical leave for like 5 months or something, which is nothing, especially within 7 years of letting him continue to practice medicine before you actually took his license. Because you do have those people who don't care, and they're like, I'm still going to them. It don't affect me no bit. So we have those people who think like that. So he was still practicing medicine in those 7 years and getting paid and doing these things, and then you wait till 2020 to finally take his medical license. Like, how much sense does that make? Like that, it is what it is, man. I'm done on it too, man. Great show, great conversation. If you have any input on it, please let us know. Hit the comment section. Please subscribe. Please share it to your friends, your family. We got a lot of good things coming up. Not only on Let's Talk, but our interviews on Sundays. This Sunday we'll have D Moore from Birmingham, England. Uh, Also the host of Diary of a Kidney Warrior podcast. The 31st we'll be having Anthony Reed and Dylan Williams, the Kidney Trail crew, coming through to speak to us as well. And then two new confirmations I just got within the past week. February 6th, we'll be having our good friend Bella Langston coming through to give her transplant story. February 13th, we'll have Kidney Conversations, the team of Jonathan Traylor and Kyle Hockridge will be coming through to speak about, why they started Kidney Conversations and what they are attempting to accomplish there uh, in that area. And then February 20th, I'll have my good friend Zach Brooks, who's part of the World Transplant crew to get the World Transplant Games together, and um, also part of Team SoCal in the transplant game. So got some good shows coming up for you. Got some other people I'm trying to get in to come through and stuff. Uh, tell their transplant stories, donors as well, support. It's a number of things we have coming down the line. February 25th, we have our 2022 Home and In-Center Dialysis Conference, the good, the bad, the ugly. We're going to touch on a number of things in the dialysis world, the nutrition side, how to stay compliant on dialysis to be able to move to a transplant. It's a number of things we're going to touch on with a number of presentations. Um, we got Tiffany Archer, who's been on the show doing a tag presentation with Mr. Cook here on the physical activity slash exercise side of being on dialysis. We'll also have Dr. Sharika Brookins coming back as well. We got Mr. Cook speaking on in-center hemodialysis and manual peritoneal dialysis. Jonathan Triller speaking on home hemodialysis, and I'll be doing a presentation on cycler peritoneal dialysis. So got a lot of good stuff coming. Some things after that as well. 1 year of being on the second chance, March 1st, coming up. So very excited about that. We'll have Jennifer Ford come through and tell her story, who is a host of Motivational Mondays with myself. That'll be on March 1st. So, got a lot of stuff coming through. I definitely want to say a prayer for Alex Brills Jr. Just lost his grandmother recently, as well as our good friends Jonathan Traylor and Melissa Traylor, who tested positive for COVID. So They're fighting a fight that we hope and pray ends well and they'll still be here. But we've seen COVID take a lot of lives, and we don't want to see it take another one. So, Trailer family, definitely praying for you. Hope everything goes well, and you don't see the worst of what COVID could bring, and it just kind of goes through the motions for you, and you back with us. So we appreciate you. We love you all. Praying for you. And also, the second chance supporters and family that's out there. We appreciate you all. So we'll be back tomorrow morning, same time, 10 o'clock. Have a wonderful day and have a wonderful week, and we'll see you tomorrow.